Hi, I'm Ross, and I'm here with my friend Grant, and today we are going to be talking about Cruella. This is, I, I don't even know what this is, to be quite honest. I don't
What
know
a
what.
movie.
It's a movie.
What a flick.
Her name's Estella, not Cruella.
Personally, I really despise all of these Disney live action reboots. I think they've been, at their best, boring as shit, and at their worst, just lazy cash grabs and complete wastes of resources.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if there were any that I actually enjoyed watching.
We saw Beauty and the Beast together back in 2017.
Oh, we did.
Yeah,
Yes.
we did. That was a mistake. I'm sorry for that.
That movie was much worse.
Yeah,
for the record.
For sure.
Teaching another girl to read isn't one enough.
Maybe they're catching on that that Honey Pot is starting to run dry a little bit as every single one that they make is heavily critiqued.
Yeah, but they all
more
make
and
$1
more as
billion.
they come out.
So.
They do all make $1 billion.
I'm just gonna go out on a wild limb and say I think Disney cares more about making money than making good movies.
What?
I know.
That's a hot take, Ross.
I know. No one else has ever thought this.
That's fucking searing.
It's not, Estella. That's the past. I'm Cruella.
To be honest, I would rather have a sort of reimagining reboot like this is over just an outright remake. Like, I'll take Cruella conceptually over another 101 Dalmatians movie because they didn't need to do it again.
That's what I liked most about this movie. My overarching take on this movie is the moment to moment aspects of the movie were really good and engaging, but as soon as you zoom back and start to think about the plot a little bit and anything above the scene by scene basis and start to think about what's actually going on, the whole movie falls apart for me.
I would say the biggest problem with this movie is that there's just too much movie in it. I believe there were 5 credited screenwriters on this movie, and it shows.
You keep saying you.
You are her daughter.
There is a very good movie buried in this mess that is Cruella. You can tell the whole time that they're really having a blast making this. I was getting a really fun vibe off of pretty much every scene, except for the weird secret daughter twist stuff later on that just felt like it was straight out of another movie.
Yeah. This movie, at its best, is about fashion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The most interesting stuff is when Cruella and the Baroness are just facing off and Cruella's doing these weird elaborate shows to try to upstage her. And if you just focus the conflict and the story on that, you'd have a more interesting hero-villain dynamic. But then they throw in there's a secret daughter and the Baroness is actually her mother, and her mother who she thought was her mother who was killed by Dalmatians because, of course,
You are the rightful heir to the Baron's entire fortune.
there's this money they have to get and they have to do all these heists, and there's so many heists in this movie.
And her butler is involved, and he just randomly saves the day at some point as
Yeah,
well.
Mark Strong is just kind of around in the whole movie.
I do my best.
Every issue that this movie has comes back to just the overcomplication of the plot. The characters were having a good time. Emma Stone is ridiculously charming, even in this weird Cruella Halloween costume she's wearing, and the heists were fun. I like Ocean's 101, but I feel like if they had made this a 1 hour and 40-minute movie about Cruella wanting to overtake this old stuffy person in this fashion world, and she's bright, bold, and audacious, and she's the future, and you could kind of contrast her designs with this person's designs. It's a fun place to set a movie, but this movie is not interested in that. It just uses that aesthetic for a bit, and then it's about trying to steal the box so Cruella can inherit her secret fortune. And
this movie concerned itself thematically so much with family. And at the end of the movie, did you even understand what they were trying to say about family at all?
No, I have no idea what I was supposed to feel about Cruella's character arc, question mark?
She killed Estella herself
Yeah.
and became Cruella. So, she evolved. There was an arc. There was a beginning and an end in that sense.
Well, her wonderful monologue really cements that.
Yes, of course.
I'm Cruella.
I actually did enjoy the monologue. I thought Emma Stone pulled it off, although it was written so poorly and just capped off this movie perfectly.
Yeah.
Much to avenge, revenge, and destroy.
It's very much the movie in microcosm. It looks very nice.
Emma Stone's crushing it.
The writing is god awful, but it is so dedicated to this weird, serious, and yet silly vibe it has going on, because this is a cartoon. I was glad they didn't try to go outright like dark and gritty with it, or at least as dark and gritty as Disney would ever do.
Yeah, I don't know. Thematically, I just got whiplash from what this movie was trying to tell me. Like,
Speaking of the Baroness, Emma Thompson is goddamn wonderful in this.
right? Like, her and Emma Stone stole the show.
Yeah.
Or she almost stole the show. She almost stole the show from Emma Stone. Wow, that's a tongue twister.
That's hard to say.
That's hard to say.
The Baroness is so beautifully one-dimensional.
You're going to kill me because I upstaged you.
I didn't care too much for, I would say, all the other side characters who were equally one-dimensional but much more annoying. There's Artie, who is the 16th first openly gay Disney character. Big congrats. Well, his one note is like being sassy.
I'm Artie, or art, as in work of.
Wow.
And then Jasper and Horace, if I'm remembering correctly which one was which, because who gives a fuck. Jasper is supportive and Horace is the funny one who makes jokes, and that's his character.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the angle.
This is sort of Cruella's movie in that she is in every scene, but the biggest thing that gets me is the ending, not just the secret daughter reveal, but the idea of this money and this treasure where the Baron, who is a character only seen in one flashback and I believe may never actually say a line out loud. It's like the end of this movie is just Cruella having all of this money and power handed to her. It just felt weird to me that in this movie that seems like it's trying to play up the empowerment angle and the you can do whatever you want to do angle, that Cruella just kind of has everything handed to her until the end.
There was just one layer too many. She's innately talented at fashion and designing, and you don't need to accredit that to her being the Baroness's daughter. Like, you can just have her be good at fashion. She's Cruella. Like,
yeah,
that's her thing.
That's her deal.
That is her deal.
That you're so extraordinary. Of course. You're mine.
Disney is not going to stop doing these because they are wildly popular and make insane amounts of money.
I think I read today that Cruella 2 is already in talks.
Oh yeah, I think it was greenlit.
Green being the color of money, for the record.
Where do you go in Cruella 2? Because they set up the 101 Dalmatians story because Roger and Anita are little bit characters in this, and then at the end, Cruella gives them the dogs.
Cruella 2 is going to be so boring.
Without the Baroness.
Yeah.
Unless they do like a Hannibal Lecter Baroness scene where she's like in the cell and she's like, welcome Cruella, you need my fashion advice? No, they should absolutely do that. Have the Baroness be like a Hannibal Lecter, like, do you still hear the Dalmatians, Cruella?
Don't you feel eyes moving over your body, Clarice?
This movie is not worth getting mad at or like up in arms about. Like the Lion King reboot, that was just a waste and deserves criticism on a conceptual level. But they gave this a shot. They gave it an honest try, and it wasn't the best. It was, in fact, deeply flawed.
At the end of the day, what this movie was lacking was someone in charge saying, no, that's a stupid idea in the room.
A lot of this movie just smacked of studio notes to me, of put in something about family, put in something fun like a heist, put in something like this, and they kept switching writers, and I feel like a lot of people were just yelling ideas for how to make Cruella interesting, and maybe whoever was writing the movie at the time kind of half heard them.
Yeah, well, this is where Disney's greatest strength becomes its greatest weakness, right? They just have so much money, they don't have to commit to anything. And as soon as one person in the test audience is like, I don't know if I like that, then they fucking scrap it, and then they fire the writer, they bring in someone more expensive.
The scene where Cruella shows up to the Baroness's party and she has like that rock concert going on and everyone goes outside. And I think Jasper's playing the guitar and Horace is doing like an intro.
Yeah, like that was so much fun.
Yeah, that
oh
was
my
great.
Gosh.
That was clearly the movie that Craig Gillespie wanted to make.
It is a very watchable movie, and I don't think this is a movie that's gonna hold up.
I think more of this movie is good than bad, but everything that is good is anchored with something bad.
In a way, that makes this movie far more frustrating than the other Disney remakes, which are just blatantly bad.
Yeah, at least it looked visually striking. At least there were scenes that I can point to and go, that was good, that was fun, I enjoyed that. There are things in this movie that I think if a kid watched it, they might like movies a little bit more. I do think this movie's greatest impact before it is forgotten in 3 months will be just a scourge of Cruella Halloween costumes on,
oh my gosh, yes.
replacing the Suicide Squad Harley Quinn costumes, which have been the norm since 2016.